The Sega Classics Arcade Collection for the Sega CD. This was a collection of classic Sega Genesis games that came bundled with the Sega Genesis CDX game console. And I honestly don't know the chances of finding a loose copy out in the wild, but hey, stranger things have happened before, I suppose. Such as the great irate ghost hunt of 2013, am I right? What? So I guess it should be noted that there's two different versions of Sega Classics Arcade Collection for the Sega CD. There's a 4-in-1 version comprising Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Columns, and Revenge of Shinobi, and a 5-in-1 version comprising the same 4 games, but also tosses in Super Monaco GP for good measure. The version we'll be looking at today is the 5-in-1, although I do have the 4-in-1 as well, and I can pretty much tell you that outside of one less game, it's pretty much the same deal as the version we're looking at today. So when you boot up the disc, the first thing you'll see is the Sega logo, which is soon followed by this menu screen. It's a fairly basic looking and straightforward menu screen displaying all the games available for play, while some triumphant classical music piece is playing in the background. I'm almost tempted to break into a Middle English accent and speaking pattern as a result, but I'm not going to, because I'm not a moron. That is probably true. So let's start off with Super Monaco GP. The classic racing game on the Sega Genesis that I am absolutely shit at and thus have not touched all that much. As far as I could tell, it doesn't seem like they changed much in terms of audio and visuals, since it sounds almost Genesis quality in general, but since I've never played the Genesis original, I honestly cannot tell. Sorry. Next up we have Golden Axe, the Genesis conversion of the arcade hit of the same name, where you have to save a king and a princess from Death Subtractor. Or was it Death Divider? Or whatever his face was. For the most part, the version featured here looks and plays the same way it did on the Genesis. The one notable upgrade worth mentioning here is that the soundtrack of the Genesis game has been replaced with the arcade soundtrack, which results in somewhat better sounding music, although your mileage may vary. Also, some voice bites sound noticeably clearer and crisper than the original cart version. The game itself isn't too bad, gets boring after a while, but I suppose if you're a fan of the series, you'll more than likely get more enjoyment out of it than I did. Streets of Rage, the Final Fight knockoff that started it all and all that jazz and stuff. Not much in terms of changes as far as the game goes. It plays the same as it did on the Genesis, looks about the same, sounds about the same. Some of the voice bites might sound a bit clearer, but that's about it really. The game itself is alright, but hard to get back to after playing the superior sequel. The Revenge of Shinobi, the sequel to Shinobi. Or was it Shadow Dancer? Who knows? Who cares? If there was any game that I felt was synonymous with the Genesis as far as the early days go, it was Revenge of Shinobi. Fun to play, tough as hell. Far as I could tell, no notable changes to be found here. It's the game you get on the Genesis bar none. Just as well because the game doesn't need enhancements. Nor did it need a shit remake. Yep. Finally we have Columns, the Genesis conversion of the arcade classic where you match up jewels of a similar type and prevent their well from filling up. The only really audible change made here is the title screen, which has the arcade title music. The rest of it is the same as the Genesis version, not much to say here. And that's all there is to the Sega Classics Arcade Collection. Overall, it's a nice compilation of 5 Sega Genesis video games with some notable but otherwise minute audio enhancements to take advantage of the CD format. The games featured are true to form, play almost exactly the same as they did in their cartridge format. The audio additions are nice, but they don't add much to the games. They're just there for the sake of being there. It's a nice little addition to the Sega CD, although I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to hunt this one down, especially if you already have the original cartridges. It's a nice novelty addition, but that's about it really. To be honest, if you really want a nice compilation of Sega Genesis games for your Sega Genesis system, I would suggest tracking down the Genesis 6-pack cartridge, which has 4 of the 5 games featured here. Super Monaco GP didn't make the cut, unfortunately, and also tosses in the first Sonic the Hedgehog and Super Hang-On for good measure. I guess that one's worth looking into some other time. As far as this one goes, if you find it for cheap, sure, why not, but nothing worth really tracking down. If you already have these on the Genesis, no point. Unless you want a novelty item, but that's about it. I'm kind of rambling here. Say, this coffee tastes pretty damn good. It's also a bit cold, jeez. Man, how... stale as shit too. Fucking hell. Oy. So I got that done. How about that great irate ghost hunt of 2013? Heard he caught a boodlidly. Or was it boobity? Or booby, boo boo boo. Wait, this thing's still on. Shit.